Let's walk through how to install the 2-for-1 Dropout. Here's what you need. First, we will demonstrate how to remove the pre-installed dropout plates. Start by loosening the M5 bolts on the dropout plates. Rotate the adjustment bolt counterclockwise so the dropout plates move back in the frame. Then, simply place a flathead screwdriver beneath the M3 adjustment nut and rotate the adjustment bolt clockwise till the nut is removed. Doing this process when the plates are fully forward risks stripping the adjustment bolt. Great job! We're going to demonstrate the installation using the geared dropout plate, but we'll cover single speed specifics later in the video. First, grab the drive side dropout plate and align it to the frame. Attach it with the M5 by 8mm bolt and washer so it's finger tight and the plate can still move back and forth. Slide the plate all the way forward. Next, grab one of the M4 to M3 adjustment bolts. They have a total thread length of 28.5mm and thread it clockwise until the M3 section reaches through the back of the dropout plate. Grab the M3 by 0.5mm nut and align it in the dropout plate. The M3 threaded tip of the adjustment bolt is reverse threaded, so turn it counterclockwise in order to tighten the nut within the dropout plate. Rotate the bolt clockwise to move it all the way forward. To further tighten the M3 nut, insert a small flathead screwdriver beneath the nut while turning the bolt counterclockwise in order to snug the M3 nut on the M3 threads of the adjustment bolt. This should only be tightened a quarter turn past initial engagement of the M3 nut. Once again, move it to the furthest forward position. Now, let's repeat the process on the non-drive side dropout. Note that the non-drive side plate uses a longer M5 by 20mm bolt. Use the adjustment bolts to push both dropout plates to the forwardmost position. Now, grab your dropout cap and O-ring and attach it like so. Install the dropout cap in the drive side plate. The inside of the cap is key to keep it from rotating when installing the through axle. Make sure this is aligned properly to fully seat the dropout. The O-ring on the cap will help hold the cap in place when the through axle is not installed. Install your wheel with a through axle. Be sure to hold the cap nut when installing the through axle. It may pop out from a quick insertion of the through axle. Then, tighten down both dropout plate M5 bolts to 5 Nm and install your components as normal. Great job! For a single-speed drivetrain, the process of attaching the dropout plates is the same, but you can use a single-speed specific dropout, which doesn't have a derailleur hanger. You will also need to use the adjustment bolts to tension your chain. Once the dropouts are installed, install the dropout cap, rear wheel, and through axle, but leave the through axle loose enough that the dropouts can still move. Attempting to tension the chain while the through axle is tight will strip the adjustment bolts. Now, we'll walk back the adjustment bolts a little at a time by rotating them counterclockwise until we find the proper chain tension and the wheel is even between the stays. The chain is properly tensioned when there is a 1/4 inch of play in either direction. Be aware, the chain tension may increase when you tighten the dropouts and through axle, so you want a little extra slack in the chain. Also, over-tightening the chain may strip the adjustment bolts. Remember, we are aiming for that 1/4 inch of play once fully tightened. Once you find the perfect spot, tighten down the dropout plate M5 bolts to 5 Nm and fully tighten the through axle. Great job!